If you have a scar, how did you get it? Yup, tons of them. Hit by a car when I was 14. Too many surgeries to repair the damage. Then 10 years in the army being all I could be. 50 years old now and there is a spot above my right eye that isn't in pain this morning, so it might be a good day. Edit spelling. Waking up without something hurting is almost scary. It makes me wonder what's about to hurt really bad today. Quote, holy shit. Respect made oncoming fist light skin tone. My dad is 50, and he says that if in the morning nothing hurts him, he must hit himself to check if he's alive. Asterisk tons. Tones are a sound or a mood or the firmness of a muscle. When did it start, the waking up and something hurt? Are you physically active the last 10 years? I, 22 meters, was in the shower with my fiance, 24F, and I won't say why, but I was crouched down basically on my knees, and I went to stand up and my lower back caught on the faucet for the bathtub and ripped a chunk out of my back. Decent sized scar on my back. I was eating ass. Showers are dangerous after all. Respect worth it? How do you explain this to people who aren't supposed to know the eating ass part? Clean ass. Oof. I feel your pain. When I was about 12, I was taking a bath when I stood up to get out. The spout got my back as well. Honestly, looking back, I'm not really sure why I was sitting at that end. Lol. This reminded me of my experience. I was in the shower with my ex, and we decided to swap places. Midway through I slipped and my ex fell with all her weight on top of me, pushing me through the glass screen, out of the shower, and onto the toilet below. The toilet roll holder broke off to reveal a screw sticking out of the wall which sliced my back open. Felt it bounce up my rib cage, leaving a nice scar. TLDR, I have a large scar on my back caused by a toilet roll holder. I won't say why. Bro, I tongue deep in that fart box. Exclamation mark. Quote, shower sex is actually incredibly dangerous. You might be surprised on the amount of injuries that result from it. Table saw scar on my shoulder. Wait, how in the world can you get a table saw scar on your shoulder and live to tell about it? Damn. Was it wood that kicked back, or are we talking you fell on this thing? Fellow man sorting by new. Just saw you a second ago. Ran into a wall, now I'm Harry Potter. Same, except I ran into another girl during a football game. The scar is on the right side of my forehead and also is kinda shaped like a lightning bolt. You ran too slow. Try again, but faster and you will see the Hogwarts Express. Dude, same, but instead of a cool scar, I get a completely symmetrical scar down my forehead. I look like the cheap Asian knockoff Harry Potter. If you hit the wall hard enough, you too can live in a fantastical world. Lol. My belly button. I used to be so close to my mom, but now, it only reminds me that time passes. Don't remember how I got this one. Weird. I have that too. I have one on my head from a childhood injury involving metallic playground equipment. A similar thing happened to me too. I hit my eye on the metal bar on the top of the slide, split the top of my eyelid. Didn't leave much of a scar though. Yeah man, playground equipment back in the day was sharp and metal. My brother gashed his chin on a metal balance beam. These kids today are soft with their rubberized surfaces and plastic everything. Christ. I have one above my left eye from a seesaw 30 plus years ago. Same thing for me. Same here. I thought it would be cute to go down the metal sliding board sideways and a little hump on the side of the board caught the back of my leg. I tore a chunk out. That was over 30 years ago and I still have that scar. Metal playgrounds and backyard swing sets were no joke back in the day. Not joking. I have the exact same thing. Right in the middle of my forehead is a scar from hitting a slide when I was 5. I was once at school that had a metallic playground, and I really wanted to go home for some reason. And my 9-year-old self thought it'd be a good idea to try and give myself a concussion by banging my head against the metal pole. Didn't go home. All my scars are from stupid shit that shouldn't even turn into a scar. My oldest one is from the chickenpox when I was 5, and then I have some more on my legs and feet from bad shoes. A shaving incident. Nothing adventurous, unfortunately. I'll share my own story. I was in 4th grade and loved skipping class. So me and my friends would climb the bathroom stalls, not the occupied ones. So one day I had the bright idea of climbing one with a hook where you keep your jacket or hoodie. I climbed to the top and stood there for a good 3 seconds. I fell and my left foot got caught on the hook. It was a difficult time to get the hook out of my foot. Big scar because it dragged. Oil burn. How? I fell in wet grass and onto gravel and it took out a chunk of my flesh about 1 inch wide. Jesus. Damn. That's a lot of damage. I got dragged on my stomach on gravel by our 90-pound German Shepherd once. Not fun. I smashed my face into the staircase when I was 6 or something. Face plant. Face plant. Corned beef tin. Long story. I would like to know if that's okay. Sounds hilarious. I work with deep fryers. Was run over by a horse and cart. Yes, I'm serious. Got 72 stitches. Have no feeling in the side of my left knee. Wow, that sounds awful. I have a scar right next to my eye. I got it because I bashed my head on a small gate when my dad pretended to leave me there. I was 5 at the time. WTF. Opened a chest. Surgery. Weirdly, almost all my scars are on my left side. My most recent one is between my thumb and my index finger, which I got on New Year's Eve, while opening a beer with another bottle. A part of the bottle split off and sliced into the side of my knuckle. Bled like crazy because it hadn't been my first year. Damn man. 1 from surgery, 1 from falling down the stairs when I was 2 and busting my chin. Everybody keeps falling down staircases. Get barely noticeable 1 on my lip from falling off a bunk bed onto some toys in elementary school. Got another on my forehead from when I was in 8th grade and some blazed dude drove across the median in a blizzard and hit us head on. Got a scar on my knee from surgery. My ACL and meniscus were torn from an American football injury. There a discoloration on my ankle from some cut or scrape, but I really don't know how that one got there or stayed. Lol. Jesus. Glad you're okay. Warning, potentially graphic. Split my forehead open trying to impress a girl playing racquetball for the first time. Crushed some fingers on a drainage grate because some guy convinced me that they were trapped ducklings at the bottom. Got a neat little Y-shaped scar from when my middle finger basically opened up. Lot more stitches, couple broken bones. TLDR, I'm very accident prone and or stupid. Jesus. 8 inches incision on my calf to remove a tumor. I made up a different story each time someone asked. Scar on my chin. I tried jumping backwards into the pool and hit my chin on the side. I pierced my own belly button with a safety pin in 8th grade. Nice. Me too. And my eyebrow the next year. And I am a dude. This was very early 90s. My sister pushed me down the stairs. I have a big scar on the left side of my face from a Mohs surgery to remove skin cancer. I was 33 at the time of diagnosis. Shaped like lightning. Makes me feel like Harry Potter. I was stabbed by my little brother with a ruler. Okay, WTF. I have got some scars, and these scars I have got when I put my hand into the door. Pain is my second enemy. 7 surgeries from groin to hip to remove gangrene. That sucked. 1 lower right leg to implant a steel plate and artificial tendons. That also sucked. 3 abdominal from a ruptured appendix. Heals surprisingly fast once you get rid of the thing. 7 surgeries. Damn. I've got 1 on my boob thanks to my cat. You wanna know how I got these scars? I have several scars on my left arm. Most of them are from when I had a mental breakdown and punched a door's window. The rest are from when I cut myself. Hey, I'm glad you are okay. Just like the other dude. If you need a talk, or anyone reading this, here's my IG name. Full Death Beat. If you need a talk, feel free to follow and message me. I'm on private. but all except barbed wire. You have breached the facility. The one on my left areola happened when I fell out of a tree at the age of 8 and landed on a tree branch the day or two before my mom had told me not to climb it. Whoops. The one on my right arm that looks like a cigarette burn I got from brown recluse venom melting my flesh. The one on my back that looks like a bullet wound I got from having the same mole removed twice. The pigmentation came back the first time and the cells were precancerous or whatever the term is. So they dug in deeper the second time and left a big divot. I do, across my abdomen to the top of my groin, had a kidney transplant. Running under a low tree branch. Caught the football, concussed by an apple tree. Acne scars. Scars from scraping my knees on concrete after a fall. Scars from scraping my elbow on concrete after a fall. Scars from mosquito bites. Scars from shaving. And a scar on my leg from a hot iron falling on it. Tried to bathe my cat. Lesson learned the hard way. Cats hate water. I have 3 on my right arm. All of them from the same thing. Resting my arm on a hot baking tray. 3. For the same thing. 3 separate times. An eyelid scar. Got it when I was 2 because I wasn't going down the slide properly. How did I get it? I mean, the slide was 3 feet long and very smooth plastic. So I don't really know. 3 scars. Scar 1. I was at the beach with my sisters. I'm the oldest, and one of them grabs this big rock with a pointed end on it and just drops it straight on the back of my hand. Blood starts covering the entire back of my hand. So I go to my mom to ask what to do. But she's high on pills and just tells me to wash it off in the ocean. So I do that and I just wrapped my hand with one of my socks to soak up any blood coming out. Still have a big scar on the back of my left hand. Scar 2. When I was a toddler, a chandelier fell next to me, spreading glass all over the floor. I crawled towards it, tripped, and sliced open just under my chin. Unless I lift my head up and show you, you can barely notice that one. Scar 3. When I was in middle school, my stepdad worked at some recycling place. Anyway, one day he brings me this used mattress. I lay down in it and it gives me scabies. It felt like my veins and my blood itched, so I was scratching myself extremely hard and still have visible scars on my arms from using different objects in the house to scratch myself harder. He never got me treated for scabies. I had to beg random people at school, on public transit, and strangers in the street for money until I had enough to buy the cream myself to get rid of it. I ended up having scabies for a while. On my abdomen I have a L-shaped scar from my kidney transplant. Probably buy it at a gun shop. I have a scar from when I was like 5 and I was marching my Peppa Pig toys up my Rottweiler's back. And he bit me. I was a very dumb kid. From the middle of my chest to the bottom of my stomach going around the belly button. Major surgery as part of cancer treatment. I also have a lot of scars. In kindergarten I drove on a large plastic car, drove along a concrete wall and scratched my left hand. You could see my finger joints. I also have a lot of scars all over my body because I have very tall parents. I am German. We are all tall, and I already was 1.95 meters tall when I was just 14 years old. I grew so quickly that the skin just couldn't grow together anymore. And lots of scars from burns, etc. On my right palm I have a scar where I caught a knife someone was slashing at me. It hurt and I let go immediately. I have a scar jutting down starting right above my eyebrow, close to where your eyebrows meet. It goes through my eyebrow slightly, but I just tweezed my eyebrow a little so you can't notice the scar. It goes down towards my cheek, barely missing my eye by like 2 centimeters. From the same knife. After I caught and released the knife, and I kicked his hand and grabbed the knife when he dropped it, I sort of lunged at him with the knife. But I wasn't really prepared to stab a guy. He like shouldered me when my hand was outstretched with the knife and I got slashed on the face. barely missing my eye, while I was falling to the ground. Luckily after that he just got up and ran off. I was so scared I ran all the way home non-stop. The cops followed the trail of blood to my house. I was too shaken and bleeding, and for some reason, they wouldn't believe me. They called a psychologist to determine if I slashed myself. The lady explained to me that I could either let her 5150 me, or these cops were going to arrest me on some shit and make my life hell because I am colored. I had to go to the psych ward for the night for getting mugged. The other guy in my room was there for alcohol withdrawals, and he was really nice and helped me get through it. He was the only one who would actually tell me how fucked up my face was. For some reason the staff wouldn't acknowledge my face and there were no mirrors anywhere. I quit my job and was physically too shaken to leave my house for a while. The cops were supposed to help me. I just got fucking stabbed in the fucking face. What the fuck? I will never trust the police again. I have a scar on my outer bicep curving round it because my friend lost someone's cocaine and I paid some of it off to help the friend out. I went with him to pay it and Mr. Dealer got mad at me also and aimed for my neck, but I ducked and guarded it, resulting in said scar. I think of it like a free tattoo. One very sharp log fell off a cycle in 7th class. I have stitches on my right palm. I was running in the playground, tripped over a rock and fell full force on a shard of glass. I have one on my leg. It was from when I was surfing and the surfboard cut my leg open. At least it wasn't a shark. I have two on my two legs. It happened because I fell off a bike and broke my leg. Machining accident. 2 surgeries. Self-harm. Walking into a broken radio antenna. And dropping a shampoo bottle on my foot. I may have scarring from the shingles I just got over. Time will tell, but I sure hope not since it's on my forehead. In my childhood, I was parkouring around the living room furniture. Jumped onto a footrest stool and it slipped and I slammed my head onto the edge of sharp tile at our fireplace. I was working on a drone and it attacked me and almost chopped my right index finger off. Got 6 stitches though, so that was cool. Fell up a set of cement steps when I was 3 and cracked my chin open. Took a chunk of skin out of my finger while trying to put on my new knee skin. Competitive swimming while in high school. Oh, and hair doesn't grow on a small portion of one of my eyebrows because my dad whipped a cup at my face when I was 10 or so. I have a scar inside my belly button and side of my tummy and a little one above my fluff. Got it when I had my appendix removed and reminds me of the time the doctors refused to give me food for 60+ hours straight. I have a scar on my nose from the time my stupid 7-year-old self ran down a steep road. Went up the stairs too fast and scraped my ankle. Kept itching the scab and it just stays there faintly. Got 3 scars on my hands. 2 from unsafely playing with knives. Listen to your parents, kids. And 1 from a break barrel pellet gun. Accidentally slammed it shut with my hand. There shloop goes the flesh. Appendix surgery. I have a scar on my wrist. My cat scratched me hard years ago, but it looks like I cut myself, so sometimes I notice people staring. Fell over in the pool as we were about to leave. Had to have one more jump lol. Managed to crack open my chin and give my older sister a heart attack. Now I've got a forever scar on my chin. I have a pretty large one on my right hand from wrist to index knuckle from a wire wheel on an angle grinder that caught my sleeve and sawed halfway through that tendon. And I just recently got an obnoxiously trendy eyebrow stripe from headbutting a bar clamp that was sticking out. I have one right next to my artery because of a somewhat dangerous kid's costume part. It was a ninja headband. Naruto. With the metal plate being held on with a nail. I also ran into a spiky tree and a branch went into my shoulder. I'm certain I was stabbed in a previous life as I don't recall ever getting it. Hit my forehead, the window lock in a bus. Twice. My scars are symmetrical. I fell and landed on a locker lock head first. It made a pretty big hole in my head, but I guess I'm Good now. I took an icicle to the head when I was a kid. Was walking my dog in the winter. Came across a patch of ice and completely wiped out and smoked my face off the ground. Had to get 3 stitches over my right eye, lol. The scar looks pretty cool but the story behind it is so stupid, haha. On the inside of my left index finger. Tried to open a packet of juice boxes with a steak knife. I was 4 or 5 and shaking a cabinet in my garage. Some pruning shears fell off of the top shelf of the cabinet and somehow opened on the way down. Went through my hand at the base of my thumb and pinned my hand to the work table. On the way to the hospital, my dad took a detour to the grocery store to cheer out my mom who was shopping at the time. Priorities. I have a 4-inch scar down my chest when I was 16. 18 years ago, I had surgery for something called pectus carinatum. Basically, the cartilage on my chest was growing outward and looked like a bone right in the middle of my chest. I was very self-conscious about it. I went to Primary Children's Hospital and they were able to get insurance to cover it as a necessary procedure. Anyway, they shaved off all the cartilage, and I was out of the hospital after only 3 days. Was planned to be there 5 to 7 days but I did really well. So, for a while I had to be really careful. About 6 months after that I was able to ride roller coasters again and had no problems. Scar on my hand. My mother accidentally stabbed me one Christmas morning while trying to open a gift. I have multiple. I have a nasty one on my wrist from being cut by a piece of trailer metal. I have one on my shoulder from being bit by another human being. I have multiple tiny ones from being shanked. I have one from an eraser burn, and I have something known as a port wine stain which covers my arms and some of my neck. It slowly gets bigger as I get older. The port wine stain ain't a scar, just blotches on my skin that slowly deforms you over time. I got stabbed by my best friend in the hand. Little red mark where the pen made impact. We're still buddies and I bring it up whenever I want to screw with him a little bit. It wasn't out of malice or anything, we were just being idiots and tried to sword fight with pens. Various accidents account for my scars. Pawn shop LMAO. The one on my eye is from when it tried to kill me. It looks like I have pink eye but it's actually a scar from radiation treatments. The one on my hand is from falling onto a broken glass bottle at the park when I was 6. My brother was babysitting me and was terrified my mum would kill him. Of course she didn't. The one on the back of my neck was from a surgery to remove a cyst. Nothing more interesting than that, I'm afraid. Fish tank fell on my ankle. I have a scar on my chin from a seagull bite. I have a few dimples on my right leg from a skin disease. Not skin cancer. I had it on my chest too, but no scars there. One on my elbow from surgery, one under my chin from falling off someone's shoulders. I have a scar on my arm that used to look like a butthole. A wasp had stung me. I have a scar across my right eyebrow. I was sitting on top of the stairs because I was still a bit sleepy. I woke up being shaken and lightly slapped on the cheeks. I must have fainted and rolled down the stairs. The lens from my eyeglasses popped out from the frame and hit that part of the eyebrow as I rolled down. Got 8 stitches for it. I was up late studying for an exam that day. Almost didn't make it to the exam. Motorcycle accident in Spain. It was my first day in Spain and first time riding a motorcycle. Wasn't bad though. We just ran into a small tree. A little scar on my index finger that I got when I defeated my dad in table football. I miss him so much. I have a tiny scar on my face below my nose because my cat got pissed off at me for some unknown reason and took a swipe at me when I leaned down to kiss him hello. He's never done anything like that since. Then there's the small scar I have on my ankle from when I got rope burn from a retractable leash. My Jack Russell Terrier got excited, looped it around me and ow. One on my back from a medical procedure. One on my temple from chickenpox. And a few on my arm from an abusive younger brother. I have two relatively small scars, one on my forehead and one on my inner wrist. The former was caused by my oldest sister throwing a butter knife at my head. The latter was a particularly aggressive game of spoons. Read. A normal game of spoons. I have a scar on my tongue. When I was 2, I sneaked into the cellar inside my father's workshop and cut half my tongue off with a side cutter. Luckily I don't remember anything, but I have less feeling on the left side. I was a very smart kid that did very dumb things. Which one? Top to bottom. Small one on the back of my head where I was hit by a rock. Unconscious for a day and concussion for a week. Collarbone. Bike crash. Surgery scar where they put in a plap E and 9 screws. Left hand. Middle and ring fingers. Knife injury. Defensive wound cut to the bone during a fight with my brother. Right thigh. 8-inch long scar from having a bike thrown at me. Right ankle. 2 cut scars and 2 screw scars from surgery on a broken ankle. Those are the obvious ones I can recite without checking. I was a clumsy toddler running across the living room in the 100-yo house. I tripped over the heater vent in the middle of the floor. I still have the equal-shaped scar on my right knee 17 to 18 years later. I have a scar on my left hand from when my friend pushed me into the pavement in 6th grade. She didn't mean it. When I brought it up, she'd get emotional since she never wanted to hurt anybody, let alone her friend. So I never told her about the scar. It isn't worthy of her sorrow. I have one right above my right eye. I was about 3 years old and I was doing planks on the coffee table and couch, in which I would put my hands on the coffee table and feet on the couch and go into a plank position. My parents kept telling me not to do it because I could hurt myself. But I was a little kid and thought I knew better, and didn't listen. One day, my hand went on top of a coaster. It slipped off the table. I fell and banged the area just above my eye on the edge of the coffee table. The skin split open and started bleeding, and I had to go to the hospital and get stitches. Chicken pox. Well, turns out I have 8 and all but 3 are from me stacking it when I used to ride BMX. There's one near my left wrist I got after surgery because I broke my radius and ulna, and one on my foot I got while surfing. I fell and hit some rocks. Cut on my knee from when I shaved my leg for the first time. I have a few from a horrific car accident that left me with a permanent acquired traumatic brain injury that happened on August 21, 2012. I have a big scar above my ankle on my right foot. Got ran over by a minivan when I was a kid. Good thing is, I was wearing a boots during the time, so it only took a little portion of my skin during the accident. Please excuse my English as it's not my native language. I have a scar going across my index, middle and ring finger. When my hand is open they don't line up, but when it's closed they do. Turns out on my 2nd or 3rd birthday when the cake was being cut, directly in front of my face mind you, one of my aunts lowered the knife above the cake. I reached towards the blade. My aunt, thinking I was reaching for the cake, had let the knife move closer to me. So I grabbed the knife and my aunt pulled it away while I was still holding it. I then proceeded to bleed over the cake and my mother when she got me to drive to a hospital. TLDR, my birthday cake required a blood sacrifice and my aunt wordlessly obliged. Whacked really hard by a floorball stick on my left shin. Left a dent about a cm deep, about 10 centimeters around the side of my leg and about 5 centimeters tall. It's very interesting. Some days it's invisible. Some days there's just some marks. Other days it's red. Other days it's black. Very odd. Very yow. Stabbed my dick with a safety pin, smiley face. Marshmallow roasting accident. I was reenacting a death scene from a play in class. And when I died, I impaled my knee on the head of a screw that wasn't completely hammered into the ground. Had to get 7 stitches in my knee. I had a cactus fall on me. Bunch of burn scars from dinging my arms on the top of the oven like a damn fool. I fell off my bike. I fell down the stairs. Race car crash. I, 17 yo at that point, was driving my moped, Telcoma Supermoto 50cc, and when I was turning to left, I fucked up something and fell into ditch. The exhaust of the moped was leaning towards my calf and I suffered a bad burn. 10 years later the scar is still visibly there. 8 centimeters wide circle on my calf. Sorry for my English, it's my third language. Smiley face. Bro, perfect English. Rolled my back onto a loose basketball and scraped my elbow skin right off. A small scar on my wrist from fitting carpet tiles. I was cutting a tile but was stupidly cutting down to the ground and towards myself. The tiles have a layer of rubber on the underside and the knife got caught for a second because it was semi-blunt, and after a bit of extra pressure the knife flew straight into my wrist. Luckily no nerve or tendon damage, and just 3 stitches. Scar just below my kneecap from falling off my bike as a kid. Shit cut surprisingly deep. Scar through my eyebrow after jamming the iron sights on my AK through it in the military. Scar on my left bicep after snapping it and having it reattached. Scars in my cheek and corner of my eye as a dog tried to rip my face off at 3. Scar in my scalp after running into a couch. Scar on the bottom of my foot after slicing it open on a piece of glass. There's a plethora. I actually had to sit and think about my scars. It's not really something I think about. I was about 3 or 4 and I pulled on a cord to see what happened. Apparently an iron happened right on my head. I was about 7 and I ran into the kitchen to turn a boiling pan of rice off for my ma'am. The floor was wet and I slipped over and slid across the floor and cut open the bottom of my foot on the metal cooker. I was 21 and I had cancer for the first time, and they cut one of my balls off. Crashing a jet ski into a motorboat with a raised propeller. Left a huge laceration on my forearm that's shrunk since I got it 17 years ago. Story time. Some questionable gentlemen sneaked into my place of work looking for something to steal. They got caught by my workmates. In the midst of arguing with them, one of them sucker punched me. I had glasses on, which shattered near my eye and I landed on my ass. Needed 10 stitches that day. Got a cool looking scar on my face but the amount of pissing blood was unbelievable. Lessons learned: eyeballs are precious. Pervs row in a strip joint in Kitchener. Stranger beside me touched her bum. Her 3-inch heel found my chin. Bouncer was standing right behind the dude. I don't know if his feet even touched the ground as he was tossed out on his ear. That's how I met Stacy. 5 stitches. Showing my grandma how good I was at riding my bike. Then I fell with my head on the sidewalk and got a hole in my head. It now has a star shape thanks to the stitches and isn't visible if you don't know. It's directly under my hair on my forehead. Oh, I was like 6 or so.